dark nights of the soul. The times when life feels really tough. To the point sometimes where we want to even give up. The time when we don't know why something is happening to us, right? We all have unpleasant times in our life. And we all find ourselves questioning what it all means. But what this philosophy reminds us of is that those difficult times are effects. They're not the truth of us. They are the effects, the conditions of our lives that we experience. But the truth of us is something more than that. We also say that the effects of our lives can be changed. That no matter what it is we're experiencing, no matter how unpleasant or how dark it may seem, it can be changed. We can transform our lives. We sometimes get stuck thinking that we got to cling to the rock. Or it's always going to be like this. And it's not. But we're the ones who have to remember that everything we're experiencing might be an effect. And we have to rise above by changing our thought about that. By believing in a new possibility, like that river creature believed, that there's something else. We have to believe that there's something else bigger for us. We have to know that Spirit, the God that we believe in, is right here. And then to trust in its renewing nature. Because nature, Mother Nature shows us the renewing nature. The renewing nature is where we are too. You know, your body right now is renewing its cells, right? Every 7 years you have all new cells. It's part of the renewing nature. And to trust that that renewing nature is here, to trust that whatever we're going through does not have to remain that way, to literally dare to rise again. In the Bible, we hear the phrase, "Behold, I make all things new." Behold, I make all things new. Behold, the creation of the one source is always making all things new. How does that work for you and I? Right there. We look at it every Sunday. Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. So it's not that there's some God outside of us making it new for us. It's that we've already got it within us. And we change our minds. That's how we have things new in our own life. And Ernest Holmes says, new thoughts create new conditions. Have you heard that before? Do you practice it every day? We went from hee to in the room. You know, we've heard it, and it's good to learn it intellectually, to hear. Okay, new thoughts create new conditions. And it's another thing entirely to remember every day when we get up, to remember every time something unpleasant happens, to remember every time someone does something that we don't like in the world, no matter if we've made a mistake, new thoughts create new conditions. And to remember in those moments when life is feeling unpleasant, that I can change my mind about that, to be able to practice it. And this is true for us individually, and it's true for us collectively. You know, each one of us individually is making a difference to the people around us, to the environment around us, ultimately to everything. You know why? There's only oneness. Have we not heard that already this morning? There's only oneness. And so we do make a difference to our collective environment as well. What I try to do, and I try to keep this in my mindset, rather than the collective consciousness affecting me, often negatively, I say, can I make a difference to the collective consciousness? You see the difference? One is it's coming at me, and some days it certainly does feel like that. But can I make a difference to the collective? I think about that every day when I start to get stuck in the unpleasantness or what feels like that dark night of the soul. Wait. I don't want to be here clinging to this thought forever. I want to make a difference to the bigger world. On that note, making a difference to the bigger world, I've been talking a lot about our Centers for Spiritual Living and how we are newly working on making a difference out there in the world. And I have a paper by our community spiritual leader. Here's the root of the word thing. CSL stands for Centers for Spiritual Living. CSL also stands for Community Spiritual Leader. Or the CSL of our CSL. I get a little tongue-tied, so I'm going to read this to you. His name is Dr. Ken Gordon. Every week, sometimes every day, something happens in our town, in our nation, or around the world that we as ministers, he wrote this to the listserv that I belong to, are called upon to deal with and to respond to in a way that is spiritually enlightened and humanly compassionate and courageously engaged. Sometimes our responses feel powerful and significant, while at other times it may feel as though we don't have any answers or even the energy to stay engaged. Now I want you to take this personally, even though he wrote this to a group of ministers. You're all practitioners because you're practicing this teaching. Sometimes we don't have even the energy to stay engaged. The Spiritually Motivated Social Engagement Committee of Centers for Spiritual Living has been deeply involved in crafting responses to help our members to better understand and respond to the issues of our day from our spiritual principles. Doesn't it seem that there are almost daily incidents which call for a response? Heartbreaking events and issues we face today include gun violence, terrorism, fanaticism, racism, sexism, genderism, loss of trust in many of our institutions, corruption, pollution, climate change, domestic violence, and more seem to be a rising day. We see this as a call to change the paradigms from which we human beings live and share our planet. We see this as an ever-increasing call for us to speak out and live our global vision, which is a world that works for everyone. We must speak out, stand up, and more than that, we must engage. We know that our teaching, the science of mind, tells us that we do not refuse to look at the condition, but we do not dwell upon them. Our current conditions are a result of past thinking. We'll let that just sink in for a minute. Our current conditions are a result of past thinking. We see the condition and then turn our minds to a greater spiritual truth and declare the greater truth to become manifest. We also know that there are times when we must do more than prayer treatment. We must move our feet and engage with the world around us. These are such times. He's reminding us in here that we're not refusing to look at the dark night. We're not refusing to look at the condition, but we're going to turn our mind so that we are part of how we affect that collective consciousness. Okay, then he quotes Mark Nepo, which all my last crop of practitioner students know, and my soon-to-be part2 students will know soon. Mark Nepo wrote a book called 7,000 Ways to Listen. Here's a quote from Mark Nepo that Dr. Ken Gordon used. He says, that we go numb along the way is to be expected. Even the bravest among us who give their lives to care for others go numb with fatigue, and the heart can take in no more when we need time to digest all that we need. Overloaded and overwhelmed, we start to pull back from the world so we can internalize what the world keeps giving us. Perhaps the noblest private act is the unheralded effort to return, to open our hearts once they've closed, to open our souls once they've shied away, to soften our minds once they've been hardened by the storms of our day. To return again. You hear how this is all pulling together with rising again? When we need to shut down, go ahead, shut down, but return again. When life has us feeling dark and like we want to give up, we return again. We rise again. When we're feeling challenged and we're feeling worn out, and we can't take anything else, we're feeling weary to the bones. When we're feeling like we just need to take a break, then take a break. And while we're doing it, let's turn things around in that maybe precious incubation stage. What's the word I'm looking for? Gestation. Thank you. Gestational phase. That's the word I was looking for. When we're in that gestational phase, maybe we are pulling back a little bit. Maybe we're being quiet to re-energize ourselves. As we come out, let's begin to use our imagination for what can be better. Let's start to see something new. It begins with us being able to imagine it and then being able to feel it. So when Gandhi says we must be the change we